Hi, it's Terry Gaines. In this video, I'm going to give you assembly tips on 3 fun fold cards that I created using the Daffodil Afternoon 12 by 12 Designer Series paper. It is currently free with a $50 purchase during Stampin' Up Celebration, which ends February 28th. This Designer Series paper has beautiful images that span the 12 inches that are perfect for the fun folds I'm going to share with you. In the packet, you receive 6 double-sided prints, 2 of each of the prints, and they coordinate with several of Stampin' Up's exclusive colors. And there's a fun design or fun background print on one side and a floral print on the other side. So all of these fun folds I'm going to share today work perfect for the Designer Series paper. As I mentioned, it coordinates with these colors. The colors I'm going to mainly use on the cards is going to be the basic black, crushed curry, and very vanilla. I do have a couple samples that I've used Mossy Meadow and Evening Evergreen on. Most of the samples I have are embellished with the brushed brass butterflies, which are in the mini catalog. And this paper is so pretty that I just add a sentiment. And the sentiments I'm using is from the Peaceful Moments stamp set in Stampin' Up's annual catalog. So the first fun fold, I'm going to share some samples with you first. And I have the dimensions that are also on my blog. If you found me via YouTube, there's a direct link in the comments section that will get you to the blog post, which has all the measurements and the instructions. So this is the first fun fold, and I have created it in several of the different prints. And as I mentioned, these prints that span the 12 inches of the Designer Series are perfect for this fun fold. And this one's, I think, great for a sympathy card. And then you've got the fun floral print. So some assembly tips on creating this card. The card base is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. It's listed that there's an optional coordinating cardstock. That's optional. That is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And it's also noted that you would want to punch the Label Me Lovely image out of this layer for that coordinating cardstock color. If you don't use that optional layer, you're going to want to punch this out of the cardstock. So for the Designer Series paper, it is 12 inches by 5 1/4, and it needs to be scored at 4 inches and at 8. My tip for scoring Designer Series paper is to always use the large end of the stylus and go real softly on your Designer Series paper because you don't want to tear it. And I would suggest to flip it over and also score the other side. So I'm also scoring that side at 4 inches and at 8 inches. And then that will burnish both sides because this Designer Series paper is printed. So your inside is a white core. So you don't want to have that tear to show that inside. So that's why I score both pieces. So you've got your mountain fold, valley fold. And then what you do is actually just put adhesive right on that strip. Close that down, and then you adhere this piece to this piece and this piece to this piece, and then this is part of the embellishing of your card. The beauty of this design is you place this wherever you want. It can be anywhere you want, and my advice is to not cover up the prettiest flowers that are on that print. The sentiment, as I mentioned, is from the Peaceful Moments stamp set. I punched mine on my cardstock, I stamp it on my cardstock first. I use the Memento black ink. Then I punch the image out. That way I can get my best alignment. And then you have the option of adhering these with dimensionals or use your favorite adhesive and then place those. Most of mine I've added dimensionals, and on some of them I've embellished with the brass butterflies. So that is tips on fun fold number 1. Fun fold card number 2, and I failed to mention, you can put your sentiment for the inside on whatever size piece of Very Vanilla that you would like, depending on how large your image is. So that's number 1, fun fold number 1. Fun fold number 2 dimensions are here. This also will showcase the entire 12-inch piece of the designer series paper. So I've used several of the prints, and it is on a card base here. So let me just share these before I give you this assembly tips. And as it closes, you have your sentiment here. The designer series paper is 5.5 inches in height, the same as the card base. So it will stand on a desk or a table surface and showcase the beautiful designer series paper. So this is another one that just showcases that beautiful paper. And all you really need to embellish is the sentiment. You don't want to cover up all that pretty paper. So the scoring would be the same for here to score both sides. The dimensions are different though. So it is 5.5 in this length, 12 in this length. It is scored at 2 inches, which would be folded for mountain, 4 inches, which is going to be a valley, 8 inches would be a valley, and 10 inches would be a mountain. So once you fold it, mountain, valley, valley, mountain, to get the fold like this. As I mentioned, the height of the card base is 5.5, same as the card or the designer series paper. And you'd put your adhesive on the back side here, and then you're going to have an 1/8 inch spacing on both sides. You have your very vanilla with your inside sentiment. Make that as large as you would like. And then for the outside, it's again the Label Me Lovely punch. And you have your sentiment with the tailored take punch. So what I'm going to do is put my adhesive on this, and I'm going to give you a tip for how to put this onto your card here. So when you want to place this down, you only want it to be on this one panel. So what I would suggest is to use dimensionals, turn this over, and put your dimensionals right along this edge. Put 2 along that edge. And then on this fold, I'm going to place them down a little bit. Just on this panel, you're going to put 2 dimensionals. We don't want any exposed adhesive. And what this is going to allow you to do is have your adhesive here, So you're going to be able to play around with how you place it down. So this is just a tip for assembling this, and as you can tell, I've not put the rest of the card together. I'm just going to give you this tip for assembly. So as you have it placed down like this, I've got my adhesive exposed here. This allows me to place this and get that layered here with no exposed adhesive right here. So that's my tip on that one. And then as I mentioned, that can be any size. So for fun fold card number 3, I'm actually going to move this out of the way. I don't need that any longer. I have, this is the fun fold. If you are aware of my blog post for the, in October, I had 5 different fun folds for this World Card Making Day. It is the same fun fold as that. So in my blog post, I'll link the fun fold instructions for the World Card Making Day. But this is the fun fold, and what I've done different for this paper is I've colored it in with the blends. I colored all the daffodils in with a dark daffodil blend, including on this paper. And on this paper, I did the light daffodil for the daisy. I used Flirty Flamingo for the pink and Balmy Blue for the turquoise or the blue colors. So I've colored in the paper, which gives it a really rich look here. These two are actually the same. This one, I colored these in with a dark daffodil right over the daffodil that was already there. So on this fun fold, what we have for our dimensions are, I'll bring that in. We have cardstock that is 7.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. So when you fold that, you're going to have a small panel on front. That piece that's cut off is this extra piece from the card base is 1 inch by 5.5, scored it at 2.5. This 2.5 is It's going to be adhered to the back, but I would assemble the rest of it before you do that. We have cardstock that is crushed curry in size. It is 3 1/8 by 5 3/8, which is just an 1/8 inch smaller than the designer series paper, which is 3 by 5 1/4. And I've colored this in. And before I adhered this, I actually took this label punch and punched out here, because nobody's going to know that we've cut those images out of that, because this is going to be adhered to this piece right like that. Once you have that adhered, then you put adhesive on this 3-inch section that gets adhered to the back. And then I just like putting mine lower so I show the beautiful flowers. Put adhesive on the back right in the middle here. That gets adhered to that. And then you can attach this with dimensionals if you like to go right here. So your sentiment is not covering up the beautiful designer series paper. And then there is a dimension for Very Vanilla, which is actually for the inside of the card. When you adhere that, you're going to look for equal spacing on top, bottom, and this side right to the fold. That way, when you close the card, you don't see that. So that is Fun Fold card number 3. So there's lots of Fun Fold cards here, all embellished with the 2 punches here and with the brass butterflies, and using the beautiful Daffodil Afternoon designer series paper. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. I would love to have you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click the red box, the red box under the video, then select the red bell to be notified when I upload new videos. Thanks for stopping by. Take care and happy creating.